Good to go? Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Carolyn Bachman. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about the key benefits of employee engagement in the workplace. So I'm just going to start off by giving you some pretty interesting facts. First and foremost, did you know that companies lose $11 billion annually due to employee turnover? It's a lot, right? Also, employees, U.S. businesses lose $450 billion annually in lost productivity due to disengaged employees. One more for you. That last statistic, that translates down to each disengaged employee cost his or her company $10,000 in lost profit. So we're talking some huge numbers here. So that brings me to what I'm going to talk to you about. I'm talking to you about the key benefits of employee engagement in the workplace. So there's three that I'm going to highlight here. One is employee engagement in the workplace can lower employee turnover. It can also increase employee productivity and also increase the bottom line, so increase company profits. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to define some terms that I'm going to be mentioning throughout this presentation. So, engagement is the state of emotional and intellectual involvement that motivates employees to do their best work. So interesting enough, I found this quote from Andrew Carnegie that says, "You must capture the heart of a supremely able man before his brain can do its best." So basically what that's saying is we need to have the emotions in check for an employee to give his all to his company. Also, here's some statistics that I'm going to be mentioning throughout. I'm going to be mentioning the terms engaged and not engaged and actively disengaged. So I wanted to just define them here so you kind of know what I'm talking about throughout the presentation. So a recent study conducted this year of the U.S. working population found that roughly 30% of the population is engaged in their work. On the flip side of that, we have 19% that are actively disengaged, meaning 18%. They're unhappy. They're acting on that unhappiness. They completely undermine other successes around them. They're not happy. That leaves 52% of employees out there who are just not engaged. They're kind of on neither side of the spectrum. They're checked out, they lack energy and passion, but they're not miserable. They're not totally unhappy. So just keep those terms in mind as we go through this presentation. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go through how engagement in the workplace can reduce turnover, increase employee productivity, as well as the company's bottom line. So starting with turnover, let me just phrase a question for you, and I know we all work together, so I don't need anyone to raise their hands. How many people here, and just think about it, would consider leaving their current job for a 5% pay increase? Based on the statistics we just saw, I'm guessing there's a couple in here that are considering, yeah, maybe I would. Some interesting facts here. Of all disengaged employees out there, 69 would automatically leave. They pack up today and they leave for a 5% pay increase. Versus 46 of partially engaged. We go down to 26%, so of all engaged employees, only 26% would up and leave for a 5% pay increase. So right there you see that the engaged employees are more likely to stay in their roles than leave for other positions. Okay, so there's a lot on the slide here. No need to read it all, but what I'm trying to get across is there are a lot of costs to employee turnover. So not only does engagement in the workplace reduce turnover, it also reduces the related costs to turnover. There's direct costs here. You see a long list of them. There's also indirect costs, such as the loss of knowledge, the loss of experience, as well as just employee morale. Sometimes seeing people leave, it kind of brings down the morale. There's a statistic out there that in order to replace a employee, it's going to cost the company 25% of that employee's annual salary. There's also a source out there that brings that number up to about 50%, meaning it's going to cost the company 50% of a employee's salary in order to replace them when they leave. So those numbers are alarming. So what's better? How to avoid it? Keep your employees. And how to keep how to better keep your employees where they are, engage them. Okay, here's another statistic for you. Manager engagement, such as career development, praise, recognition, things like that, is actually 19% more impactful when the environment as a whole is engaged. People find it more authentic to receive it from your manager when the entire environment has high engagement. Okay, next we're going to move on to how engagement can increase productivity. Here we see that higher engagement leads to lower absenteeism because employees care more about their job, higher focus and motivation, and this together leads to greater productivity. You'll see here that the average number of absent days between an engaged environment versus low engagement is about double. So the absenteeism rate is double in an environment that has low engagement. Okay. This is a quote from a girl that I interviewed who actually leads an engagement committee here in Hopewell. She says, "I love seeing our actions bring the employees together and enable relationships to grow." I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we're able to build common ground and better serve our clients. So when you're more engaged with the people around you, you tend to work better, and that's going to provide a better result to your end client. Okay, moving on to profitability and how engagement in the workplace can improve company profits. Here's an interesting statistic. For environments that have a ratio of 9.3 engaged employees to every one disengaged employee are able to pick themselves up after a down market or a recession significantly better than if this ratio is lower. So this has been proven during the 2008 to 2009 recession. Companies actually had greater earnings per share in 2010 and 2011 that had this greater or above, this ratio or above. So in conclusion, I went over different things that employee engagement can bring to the workplace, but most importantly, it lowers the turnover and the related turnover cost. It increases employee productivity. And finally, it can increase your company profit. So at a time when having a competitive advantage is key, these three elements are going to steer you to have that advantage. So thank you all very much.